Hello everyone, and welcome back to another manga chapter review. I am the Rat, and this is the Rat's Nest. Today, I am joined by no one. I'm here by myself. Kyle and my schedules just didn't align this week, beginning of school, getting back into that and work and everything. Our schedules just didn't align, and I still wanted to get this out on Wednesday, which is when this will be going live. We're recording this Tuesday. Obviously, we record the day before. And so Kyle isn't here this week. But if you're watching this, you're probably new anyway, so you don't know who Kyle is. Kyle usually records these with me, but it's just me this week. We're just chilling, you and me, you and me, listener, all 5 people that are going to watch this video. So we're here with Chainsaw Man. I do quite love me some Chainsaw Man. It's been a while since I've done a solo review, so I'm gonna get my chops back. Gotta get my chops back a little bit. Chainsaw Man is a great series, obviously, right? And this is a great chapter. So without going any further, let's just get right into it. Chapter 118, Saying Goodbye. So before this chapter came out, obviously, if you're around the Chainsaw Man manga community, you probably know about the leaks. I admittedly never saw the original leak post for 117 and 118, but I did hear about them, and I did later read the leaks for 118. I think someone posted just the 118 leaks. And so, yeah, so they're accurate. So I don't know to say to expect leaks coming in the future, but there's definitely a pretty good chance. I've also seen some fake leaks. Well, I guess one I can't prove fake, right? Until we get to 119 and 120. But that's also gonna show up a lot with One Piece, which we also do here. I'm a big fan of One Piece as well. We have like our official guys that we know, okay, these guys provide good leaks. And just Chainsaw Man, because the leak's being posted on 4chan anonymously. There's just no way to do that, and so I think because what he did this time was similar to what he did the first time, where he published it before 117 came out, but just before. So once 117 came out, you were like, okay, this guy's legit. He knew before, right? So this guy's legit. So going into this chapter, I kind of knew what to expect, and I still loved it. 14 pages, so a little bit shorter, but I mean, hey, if we're getting it weekly, obviously we've got to break this next week, right? But if we're getting it weekly, man, I'm happy with that. So, getting into it, obviously picking up where we left off, Yoru with her hand on Dennis's head. And then, oh man, Dennis is not having it. He's just so... Fujimoto is so good with expressions. You could see so much of a character, right? You could tell that he's just Dennis's his tired eyes, I think, are a big strength. They can express a lot of emotion. It's the difference, obviously, with how his art style has evolved. Where I don't doubt that Dennis in part 1 would have been shown similarly to this. I think his tired eyes just add a whole new dimension to it. So obviously he's just like, what's going on? Yoru keeps trying, it just keeps failing. They're just both shocked. And then, yeah, he puts his hand on her head and goes, Asa, spinal cord sword. And so, obviously, Yoru is shocked. He said, that's a fun way to say goodbye, see ya. And Yoru is just standing there speechless. I will say this is the second time, I think, recently. Not in the past 2 chapters, but recently. I guess kind of past, whatever. That Kyle and I have predicted what Fujimoto is going to do in the future. Typically, I think a lot of people, especially me and Kyle, look at Fujimoto as kind of like an author who can do anything and will do anything, and definitely he is that, right? Let's be real. Just look at part 1 and everything that happened there. But I think this proves, because this is 2 times we've gotten the stuff right. So the first time was whenever Dennis, and they've been pretty obvious, right? So it's not like we're like, ooh, we're so good at predicting things. First time was whenever Dennis he asked Asa, he's like, you said I get one thing, right? And Asa was like, originally, because she was like, give me the 1,000 yen, whatever, however much they had, and she was like, I'll grant you any one request. We were like, okay, well, there's 3 things probably, touch to ask to fondle her, right? Haha, funny, ask to see the penguins. Or he said the most likely one was he's going to ask her on another date. And then that's what happened. So that's like, okay, well, yeah, we predicted that correctly. And then here in the last one, we were just like, well, obviously Dennis isn't going to die here, right? We were like, it could be very likely that he, puts his hand on her head and goes like, Asa spinal cord sword, right? And neither of us had read the leaks at that point. I had read the leaks for 115 and 116 after 114 came out. But I hadn't read the leaks for this. But we predicted it. And so that's not to say that it's bad. No, I mean, I really enjoy it. But Fujimoto, I guess maybe it's just me and Kyle. Like, maybe this is just us. I don't think it's Fujimoto necessarily getting more predictable, but maybe more so just us picking up on how he writes, right? Because it's like, you know, anything could happen in this scenario, right? But we know what he's going to lean towards. And I think, I mean, I really like that, right? I think it's really cool that we've gone on that evolution from the beginning of part 2, where we were like, oh, what's Fujimoto cooking? What's he cooking, right? To now where we're like, yeah, this is probably going to happen, and then it happens, and we're like, sweet, you know, you can, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. It's just it's very interesting to see how we've gotten to know Fujimoto more as time has gone on. But this is a very fun scene, obviously. And we get yes, so many people so gracefully put it on Twitter and Reddit, where I look at stuff for Chainsaw Man. Asa will never beat the femcel allegations, and you could say that she is coping and or seething. It's so true. So she's obviously like, so she's shocked again. Fujimoto with the expressions just in that one panel, with Yoru just very slack job. Well, not Yoru, but like Yoru just like very like nonchalant, and Asa just like freaking out in the back. Well, what the heck are you doing? Think Crappy didn't turn into a weapon? Kind of an awkward translation. I don't know. Why couldn't I turn him? You'd hit it off so well. And then Asa's like, it means he doesn't like me that way, right? Not that I care, since I don't like him either. That's so true. It's so true. I mean, I guess I expected Asa to be the tsundere type character, but still fun to see, right? It's still fun to see. I saw a post where someone was like, Asa is easily one of the top 10 female manga characters of all time because of how she's written. She's written very well. She's not written that well, right? But she's written very well. I do quite like her. I think she's a very likable character. And Yoru goes, no matter, we discover that we can also share emotions like affection. So they can share their emotions. I thought they had already known that. I mean, maybe that's just now being confirmed. Because, like, I don't know. I guess it's sharing emotions as opposed to just knowing them. Because there was back during the Bat Devil when Yoru told Asa, like, I can't take over your body when you're afraid. So, like, whenever Yoru last chapter said that they can feel each other's emotions, right? Like, I just assumed that. I guess that wasn't an established fact. I guess that's something that came later. Which is cool, right? It's a cool reveal, but it's something that I already assumed. So I guess it would have been more shocking for it to be disproven, right? Or more confusing, I guess, that way. I mean, I think it makes sense, right? They share a brain. We'll take our time winning the boy's heart while we search for Chainsaw Man. Lol. Barely slept while you're trapped in the aquarium, right? I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. I always think it's interesting as to, like, the metaphysics of, like... It's probably just a representation to see Asa standing right next to Yoru, obviously Yoru being in control of the body. It's probably just a visual representation of that, but I don't know if it's like their actual spirit like that. I couldn't say. I think it'll be interesting to find out eventually, but I like getting to see them. It's always very interesting to see one of them like with the main body, Yoru being like, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. Whenever that was, Asa not sleeping inside the aquarium, right? So it's interesting. What was the deal with the girl who trapped us in there? Isn't she your big sister? That was Famine. I haven't seen her in a long time and I didn't recognize her. As someone pointed out, this shows that the horsemen haven't seen each other in a while, which I think was like kind of soft, like implied, right? But now we get the actual confirmation of at least War and Famine not seeing each other in a while, and theoretically Control and Death as well. Famine is crazy. Whatever you do, steer clear of her, even though she's your family. Well, I mean, also Yoru's kind of crazy, so... I should just expect that. I will say it's interesting. I don't know if it speaks to Famine or Yoru more that Yoru calls her crazy, right? Because it could just be Yoru being like, well, I'm sensible, like I'm smart, I'm sensible, right? Everyone else is crazy, and that kind of perspective. Or it could be like Yoru be like, yeah, I've done some messed up stuff, but like Fami, dude, she's like crazy. So I don't know who that speaks more to. That probably speaks more to Yoru hyping her up a bit and undermining her own craziness. But it could be. It could definitely be her being like, yeah, no, Fami's legitimately insane. And then Yoru just immediately knocks out. Nasa's like, oh, hey, take a bath before bed. Asa with her heart shattered. She's not beating the femcel allegations. What could I say? There, all she can think about is Dennis. Good old Ashley. She goes, he said those things, but he doesn't like me. Also, I wanna clarify something on this page, right? It's an important clarification, and one that's relatively well known, right? But one that I think still needs a little bit more exposure to all 5 people who are watching this video, right? In the top right panel, that's hand sanitizer. Like, I know what everyone's thinking. The same thing I thought when I first saw it. It's hand sanitizer. Like that's what it is. It's hand sanitizer. Unless Fujimoto directly confirms it another way, it's hand sanitizer. Apparently that's what it says. And if it's not, on the next page we get Asa lying down on the bed, right? And then she's like, again, Fuji goat with the expressions. She's like, excuse me, even after all that, he doesn't like me. So it's just... It's so interesting. And then on the next panel, just real quick to finish up this little section. Unbelievable. He's so irritating. I hate him. For her to be like, oh, I don't care, right? I don't care that he doesn't like me. It's not like I like him. To her being like, girl, I hate him since he doesn't like me. It's fun. It's very fun. Asa's character development is always very fun to watch. And like I said before, she's very well written. Not one of the top 10 female manga characters of all time, like that one guy said, but definitely very good. Right, I do quite like her as protagonist. Going into the next, we got Dennis. Their meeting outside of school looks like. He goes, here's my super best ever date plan. The local movie theater is running an all-night movie marathon. We'll watch mummy movies nonstop until 2 a.m. for only 2,000 yen. Awesome, right? Let's do it. Although this is, as someone pointed out too, very similar to Makima's date with Dennis, right? Which I think was his first date. I'm probably wrong on that. I think technically his first date was with Reze. However you say it. I say it Reze. I'm probably wrong. I gotta wait for the anime pronunciation of it. It's very similar. So it's interesting. Obviously, last chapter is like I have more experience dating. Yeah, technically that's true, but like to be fair, this was probably the only positive date Dennis had, and of course later, she tried to kill him and he ate her. It's just the way things go, right? Yeah, that's just the way things go, huh? And then Asa is like, it costs 2,000 yen. You can watch as many mummy movies as you want. Wouldn't video rentals be cheaper? I don't want to go on any pricey dates. Okay, I just got an email. That's freaking awesome. I should go check that immediately. I'm not going to do that, though. We have Chainsaw Man to review. I'm a professional, in case you can't tell. So, I don't know if this is Asa just being Asa and being bitchy and being like, $20? Pfft, I'm not going on pricey dates. Well, to be fair, this is the 90s. $20 was a lot more in the 90s. So I don't know if Fuji Goat was accounting for inflation with that total or not. If he was, that's an impressive foresight, because that probably was pretty expensive back then. That probably was a pricey date. I just thought of that. Wow. They could just be Fujimoto just having Asa be bitchy, right, about $20, or it could be like a legitimate time period thing, or it could be Asa being like I want to go to his house, or like that kind of thing, because like we know she's into him, right, and she wants him to be into her, even if it's subconsciously, right? So we don't know. Personally, I land in the side of I don't know if Fujimoto accounted for inflation on this. I think Asa's just being bitchy, because I think that's just the type of character she is. And then Dennis is like, very, very similar to the whole penguin situation, right? Where we just want to see the penguin. Are you sure that works too? You got a VCR at home? She goes, no, what about you? And he's like, I do. He's like, well, let's do it at your place. It's cheaper that way. And then Dennis is shocked. He's like, you want to come over? And she goes, what, is that no good? We don't have to have a date then. And he goes, no way. So like that's what makes me think that like maybe like she's just playing him, right, with the whole movie thing. But maybe Fujigo accounted for inflation. That is pretty pricey, right? Because in the same sense, we talked about movie rentals, so like it might have been on his mind that like it was in the 90s, which would be pretty cool, I think, if that was a detail he consciously included there. It's like no way he wants to go on the date. He racks his brain. He's like, okay, we can watch movies at my place, but on one condition: you have to follow our home's rules. Asa's like, rules? And he goes, yeah, ones you can't break no matter what. What happens if you break them? Worst case scenario, you break the rules and you die. And we get Iseumi here. Did he say you die? Okay, and that's the chapter, right? So let's talk about this final part. The rules are going to be one of a couple things, right? Here's my official the Rat's Nest prediction as to what the rules are going to be. One, it's going to be somehow related to Nayuta and her control powers. Like, don't do what she says, or something to that result where it's like you do a certain thing so she can't get you under her control powers, right? Or it could be, the rules could be like, just don't upset Nayuta, right? Like don't like upset her, right? Don't make her mad, yada yada yada, that kind of stuff. I guess that would kind of fall under. So I'll reword this, because that would kind of fall under control powers, because like you make her mad, you use her control powers, right? So you want to avoid that, right? The rules could be like play rules for Nayuta, like, oh, you got to go home, and oh, you got to cook her dinner or she'll like kill you, right? You know, that kind of thing. 3, what I'm gonna say is most likely, right? And this is kind of a wild out there prediction. I could see Fujigo doing it. I think the second thing I described was second most likely. I think this is the most likely. I think it's gonna be dogs. I think it's gonna be related to the dogs. I think it's gonna be like, don't lay down on the couch, or the dogs are gonna like swarm you, and then, oh, you may die, right? Because like, you know, funny. That's what I'm going to say is most likely. I'm probably going to end my chapter streak there, right? Probably going to end my streak there, since these are pretty even as to what Fujimoto could do with them. But you know what? I'm going to go balls to the walls anyways. I'm going to say it's dogs. I'm going to say it's the dogs that the rules are for not dying. Could of course. I think most people are going to think Nayuta. I'm going to think dogs. I'm going to say dogs. I'm predicting it here. It's going to be the dogs. And then, so that's what I think the rules are going to be, right? Very, very interesting. Obviously, we're going to get to see Nayuta in the next couple chapters. Cannot wait. That's going to be a Pog moment. That's so true. And then the last panel, we get Iseumi. And so that's very interesting. I don't know to say he's going to be an active part of this arc. He could be, because thinking through it, right? Here he is. He was the red herring for Fake Sawman, right? Which we still saw. Fake Sawman is still at large. We still don't know. I still personally believe he's connected to Fake Sawman in some way. And I think whenever I do my reviews with Kyle, I refer to him as that since Kyle can't remember his name. Iseumi being there, I think, is going to maybe provide more on Fake Sawman. I think he's going to be a little bit of a part of this arc. At least a later part of it. Because he is obviously taking an interest in Asa. Because at the end, he seemed to recognize her power. He's like, that power, it can't be. Right? He seemed to recognize her power to some degree. Right? And here he is stalking her. Right? He overheard their conversation. So he's stalking her. I think it's likely we get a couple chapters of Asa in Dennis's house, and they're just chilling and relaxing, right? Maxing and relaxing, whatever. Hijinks, Fujimoto ensues, right? Not gonna try to predict the sex arc. Not gonna try to predict the sex arc here. Such a dumb name. I think later, like, we're gonna get to see Iseumi come into some action. Either whenever shit goes down or whenever he makes shit go down. I think that he's going to be in here. I don't know. The only reason that like I would doubt that, right, is because you have the bully girl from Justice Devil that didn't show up in the Aquarium arc in the Eternity Devil. Which is fair, right? You can introduce a Chekhov's gun. Right? Totally fair. You don't need a character to do stuff. And I would say Iseumi is definitely in a more direct position to act than she was. Because she was just there, right? She never took any action, right? It was a very interesting spot to show her face, though, I will say. Very interesting spot to show her face. Somehow she's there. Maybe, I don't think she's Fami. She could be Fami, right? She definitely could be Fami's host. But we just don't know. I still think Iseumi is going to play a decent part in this upcoming arc. Just because of all the reasons I said, right? I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm getting into repeating myself. That's the problem with recording alone, right? Especially on something as small as this, where I have to try to not repeat myself. So with that, I think I'm going to call it here. This is a very good chapter. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, very much looking forward to the next chapter. It sucks that we have to wait 2 weeks, but we finally get One Piece back this Sunday. I read the spoilers today. It sounds like a really good chapter. Sounds like something's crazy going down. So if you're a One Piece fan, make sure to check that out. We got One Piece probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, for 3 weeks. So that'll be pretty based. Other than that, what's going to be coming out next Wednesday will probably be, so I've been reading Dragon Ball Namek Part 2, because I'll edit that and do that at some point, because I'm very busy, which again is part of the reason Kyle wasn't here today. But Kyle will be back next time, probably, because tonight is a special night, and I actually have to head out for it. So, with that said, thank you all for watching. If you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you like, so make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me how good I've gotten at solo review commentary. And with all that said, I told you all the next videos. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.